What's up, guys? I'm Hendo, letting you know that you should subscribe to Raze Chaos because he's a dope guy.
And welcome back, everybody. My name is Raze Chaos. You've made it back to my channel, and oh my goodness, this video's been a long time coming. Today, we are taking the long trip down American Gods Lane. They have just canceled this series, this TV series. But I had gotten the pops and I hadn't done anything with them, and I figured I might as well get it done and over with at this point. I was a much bigger fan of the book than I was of the movie. That has a lot to do with Neil Gaiman's writing, because yeah, it's no secret that I'm a big fan of Neil Gaiman. So we've got Shadow Moon, we've got Mr. Wednesday, we've got Laura Moon, and we've got Mad Sweeney. Aside from the chase for Laura Moon, this is all as when it comes to the American Gods Funko Pops, which is kind of crazy because when you've got a TV series going on about all of these gods, Americanized gods, showing up, you would think you'd get a lot more characters, especially pop-worthy characters. But this is what we got. I'm pretty sure that they probably didn't go very well, but yeah. My love for the books made me make for the book the book American Gods. There have been a couple of subsequent books about it based on these characters, but yeah, they don't really tie in here. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this guy, and we're going to have a look at these. So where do we start with these guys? I mean, it's really difficult in this case, but I am going to go ahead and start with the main character, the big guy himself, and that would be Shadow Moon. Shadow Moon is just getting out of prison. The reasons behind why he was in prison in the first place differ from the movie and the book, and I don't really want to go into that too much because if I start talking about the differences, I've kind of saved that for one character in particular, technically two. But for the most part, I thought the dude that played Shadow Moon did a pretty good job. The only thing I would have changed, and this actually goes straight into the actual book, is that I would have made Shadow Moon a Native American, to be perfectly honest. I would have had him be at least of Native American descent, for sure. I don't remember if they go all the way through his lineage in there, but at the same time, there is a metaphor for him being an African American as well, which makes sense when in the context of the story. I guess to me, to make him a little bit more, it would have, for me anyway, it would have made more sense for him to be of Native American descent. But then again, like I said, I don't remember exactly. It's been a long time since I've read the book. There may have been some in his ancestry, but yeah, that's about the only thing I really would have changed. And that would make more sense as I get through this a little bit. But yeah, he was a great character. He's really a great focal point of the story, as far as following, because he kind of has to go through quite a bit to get to the end point that he gets to, which is very satisfying. So satisfying, when I was reading the book, I actually didn't want it to end. I was kind of like, no, let's keep going. But we're going to go ahead and take this guy out and have a look at him. And this is about as perfect as a Shadow Moon Pop can possibly get. I mean, yeah, he's pretty much just a regular person Pop. But the detail they add in this is just so perfect. Wearing the Motel America t-shirt from Indiana, USA. It's actually a lot more appropriate than it initially appears. The book American Gods is based on Neil Gaiman when he first moved to the United States to live, and he was fascinated by just how much of American culture came from where the people came from, so to speak. And that's what a lot of he got, where, you know, he would see traces of the old country, and I say old country in a very broad respect, because the United States is a melting pot of where people from all over the world came looking for a new life. And as they put it in the book, they all brought their old country. They all brought their own culture and country, and in this case, gods with them. And they brought their superstitions. They brought just about everything they could, looking for a new life. And that is part of the reason why it's so perfect that he's wearing this shirt. And yeah, he has a couple of different looks throughout the show, and throughout the book even. But I think it's very appropriate that the Pop has this t-shirt. And with the other detail that you get here is him doing the coin trick, which again is very, very appropriate for this story and this book. The coin itself, he actually tricks out of Mad Sweeney. And not to jump ahead a little bit, but Mad Sweeney is a leprechaun. And so in a sense, right off the bat, Shadow Moon has tricked a leprechaun out of his gold coin. So it's a very, very awesome Pop. It works so perfectly for the American Gods story, and very glad I have it. And yeah, so since we're talking about Shadow, let's jump right into his wife. And this is Laura Moon, and Laura Moon is his wife, who he's excited to see because he's getting out of prison and everything. Unfortunately, she dies planning his welcome home party. And that's kind of sad. Doesn't take her out of the story. It takes her out of the book for a good portion of it, because in the first couple chapters, the first half of the book even, she only makes one appearance and she doesn't really do much in it. In the TV show, she's in it constantly. And I love the actress that plays her. I've loved everything that I haven't seen a lot of her other stuff, but what I have seen, I've enjoyed. Like The Uninvited. I believe she was in Sucker Punch. And while she hasn't been in the greatest movies, I've always enjoyed her as far as being in them. But we're going to go ahead and take this out and have a look at her. Like I said before, she doesn't play a huge part in the first part of the movie. I'm looking at the Pop detail and everything, and there is some stitch going on her arm and along her neck a bit. That is because, like I said before, she is dead pretty much immediately. And the way she is actually not dead has a lot to do with this little coin that he has. Shadow uses the coin in the TV series to bring her back. And it's a careful what you wish for type situation, where he brings his wife back. But this is just the desire to have his wife back, which would make sense, except he does discover that his wife had been having an affair the entire time he was in prison. And he has to come to terms with that and he has to come to terms with that and his feelings about her after she's already gone. So, in a lot of ways, that can make it a lot more difficult. And then you compound the fact that you've brought her back to life. I mentioned earlier that she does have a chase, and the chase for Laura Moon is a darker gray, more zombie-looking Laura Moon. But I really, I don't really care that much. It was really more about getting this because, again, I am a bigger fan of the book than I am the movie, and one of the big divergences from the two is that while I mentioned earlier that Shadow uses the ring to bring Laura back, to inadvertently bring Laura back, in the show, he just kind of uses it to bring her back. In the book, he actually puts the coin inside of her, and that's what brings her back. So he doesn't actually have the coin after that. The coin is inside of her, which obviously that changes if you watch the TV show. Shadow has that coin pretty much the entire time. But yeah, that is Laura. Again, she doesn't play as big of a part until towards the end of the book as she does the beginning. And to get further along with the coin, we're going to go ahead and check out Mad Sweeney. Like I mentioned before, Mad Sweeney is a leprechaun. And one of the things that Shadow mentions is you're a little tall to be a leprechaun. The thing is that Neil Gaiman is a huge fan of mythology, and he's been researching this stuff for fun on his own time because he is a storyteller and he loves stories. And yeah, you go back far enough in Ireland, and leprechauns weren't always the tiny little Americanized imps that you see now. They could pass for any other person. They have a quick temper, and they love to drink, and they tend to be lucky. And we're going to go ahead and take this leprechaun out and have a look at it. They really did a great job as far as the figure goes, because he looks pretty much just like him. I will say one of the biggest differences of the book between the series is pretty much once Shadow gets the coin out of Mad Sweeney, his luck goes with him. And he is pretty much an unlucky leprechaun. And I'm not even sure if Mad Sweeney lasts much longer than the car wreck, which he's in the series throughout, trying to get his coin back from Laura. But like in the book, it's pretty much just lost the coin. His luck gets so bad that he ends up dying. And you see him using his magic in his hands, his coins within the greenish flames. They really gave you a good example of showing off his little power in there. And like I said, I love the outfits on these guys. They are so perfect. And yeah. It's not really much to say about it because the character in the book disappears so quickly, and with the movie he just kind of travels around being the unlucky leprechaun. So moving right along, we're gonna get past the unlucky leprechaun. Which leads us to Mr. Wednesday himself, played by Ian McShane. Easily, the heavy as far as the show goes. Ian McShane just kind of knocks this out of the park, even though, like I said, obviously whenever you see an adaptation, the first season is about as faithful as you're going to get, because they hold true to the source material to suck you in, but then after you get past that first season, they start playing with it because they have to change it to make it their own thing. And that's where it kind of went off the rails, and Neil Gaiman's a relatively difficult person to translate if he's not doing it himself. So, yeah, you've got Mr. Wednesday, and I think what I enjoyed about this, as I said, Neil Gaiman is a huge fan of mythology and lore and fairy tales and that kind of stuff. He loves stories. And I found it really funny because depending on how much you know about lore and, you know, history and everything, I don't even know if I should mention this as a spoiler, but but yeah, the minute he first appeared in the book, which he meets on a plane, he meets Shadow on a plane, and yeah, it was kind of a dead giveaway for me, because he was just like, you know, he referred to Wednesday as his day. He you know, just go ahead and call me Mr. Wednesday. He had the glass eye, which was described in the book. I think that was a little more blatant in the book than it was in the TV show, because it was kind of hard to tell at times. But yeah, it was just like, this guy is Odin. Like, I knew it immediately, and I was just like, okay. And then once I got that, I started kind of thinking about some of the other things that had already been said in the book, and then it started linking together a little bit. So yeah, the more you know about different mythologies and everything, the deeper you understand certain parts of the book that might be a little bit earlier than he initially intended. And this was no exception. But we're going to go ahead and take him out and have a look at him, because yeah, he was the man. And I can't think of a better way to do this pop. Like, they really kind of went for it. I love the fact that there is like a light blue ring around his right eye, to signify that it is old Odin Wood-Eye. Makes his eyes appear slightly off center. They could have done a little bit with this physically, but if all they did was add that little light blue highlight around his eyes, that would have been fine. But yeah, that is Odin, and these are Odin's ravens, which is really cool. And I love the way they had him dress. I love the way they had him look. I love the fact that he was constantly, you know, most people go, like, look at Loki, you know, his adoptive son, as being the trickster god, the god of mischief and everything, not realizing that Odin was a bit of a trickster himself, more so than like his son Thor was a trickster. But as guardian gods, they would come and play tricks on their people, and for their own amusement. And Odin is actually probably has more of a history of messing with his people than most other gods. I mean, you've got like Anansi, who actually makes an appearance a big appearance in American Gods, and gets one of the subsequent follow-up books. But never to be remembered, never to be forgotten, the OG of all tricksters, kind of did it in a way where he was still kind of a con man, but at the same time still able to be lovable at the same time. But Ian McShane just knocks it out of the park, and he kind of shows throughout the series that, you know, while people trust him, they're still wary of him, and to know him is to love him. And I absolutely loved his depiction of the character itself. Not so much, you know, as the character in the book, but the character in the movie was really, he had you hooked. He was the primary reason you came back and watched the show, if you did. But yeah, that's my American Gods collection outside of the book. And it was a long time coming. I needed to get this one done because, yeah, it just been sitting there. It was relatively hard to get that because, you know, it is associated with DC in the respect that Neil Gaiman did the Sandman in DC and basically worked at DC. He has worked with Marvel as well, but his DC work is more familiar, I guess you'd say. And so when I actually read the first book, he was still a DC writer in my head. So it was relatively easy to transition into this, and I loved every moment. I loved every little trick and swerve and surprise, though I kind of missed some of the surprises because they came a little too early in my head. But that was primarily because I knew the lore and I knew the history and the relations between specific characters. And the big twist at the end, I'm going to go ahead and let you discover on your own. I don't even know if they get to that in the TV show or not, but I won't give that one away. So it's worth reading if you are a Neil Gaiman fan or if you're a fan of mythology. As a matter of fact, I think the more you know about mythology outside of the United States, the more you would enjoy, and the more references you would catch as you went, as you watch this odd war of the gods between the old gods and the new gods that have come since America has formed and how it's progressed. But I'm not going to get into all of that backstory because we could be here all day. So I'm just going to go ahead and hope you enjoy this video. Let me know out of all these pops which one's your favorite. Let me know if you've watched the American Gods or if you've read the book, which is probably where I'm going to land. I would keep myself as a fan of the book more than the TV show. But never forget, life is full of odd moments. You never know when you're going to be defined.